Hey y'all, it's Diana from the Dianaverse. I'm here today to do the new moon in Taurus forecast. Merry Beltane to everyone who celebrates. The astrological Beltane is at 15 degrees Taurus, so that was just a day or so ago, last night maybe. So we are still in that Beltane energy when the maiden is fertile and the Lord is virile and everything is ready to grow, ready to go, right? So the new moon in Taurus is all about falling as it does at this time of year. It is about growth and pleasure and building a foundation. Tauruses are often very good at whatever they do, some sort of career or endeavor that they're into. They will work hard at it. They have energy for that. They are connected. Everything is connected for Taurus. So they know how to go with the flow of something. If something is working, they can work with that and make it into something for themselves and their loved ones. So if you are gardening, this is the perfect couple of days. The moon just went into Taurus, I believe earlier this morning or late last night. So you've got a couple of days from today to start your new seeds, and these should be really successful seeds. So growing with that new moon and all of that blessed fertility. It's a great time to be in touch with your body. Taurus is very incorporeal. I'm not sure that's a word. Anyway, it's very in touch with the rhythms of life and its own body, taking care of that body, nurturing it. Excuse me, still a little phlegmy because cold ended and now allergy season is ramping up. Yay. Okay, I'll try not to do that too much. So if you had some self-care things on your horizon, stuff that you wanted to do to take care of your body better, this is a great time to start those kinds of things. This is not like Aries where you're like, ooh, I'm going to do vigorous exercise. You know, Taurus is more like slow and steady. So if you have been meaning to start a program, it's good to ease into it and see how it feels with your body. You're not testing your body like you might do in Aries. You are seeing how it really feels, how it feels good to have your blood be circulating and invigorating and up to that point where it still feels good, right? So this is a good time for that. This is a good time for relationships, sorting out the relationships that are working, maybe the ones that aren't. This new moon is still, as I've talked about for the last year and a half, these are happening later in the sign. They're not at the beginning of the sign where you're just like, new beginnings. So this is much closer to the middle. It's just barely out of that third decan. Each house and each sign in astrology is divided into what's called a decan, and it's 30 degrees. And you get all of the signs together, and it makes up the whole wheel, but each sign gets 30 degrees. And so that's divided into 3 parts, 10 degrees for each decan within a sign. And so at the first numbers that you might see in relation to a planet or a sign, you're going to be like starting something new. You're like a kid, you're starting something new. You get to about the middle and you can see what's behind you that you've already done, and you can also see like what's new and what's ahead. And that's kind of where we are. We're kind of slipping into that zone where we're not just looking at the past and then extrapolating from that where we can move forward. We can see the past and we can do that. We can build on what we've already got, and then we can also start some new things if we like now with this one, because at 18 degrees we're in that middle zone. We're not at that last decan of the zodiac anymore. This is a little bit accentuated by the South Node is still in Libra. So, and Libra is ruled by Venus, which also rules Taurus. So there is still some of that, like looking back at what we've done and then building to go forward. There's still some stuff to get let go of. If you know you need to let go of some stuff to move forward, but maybe you don't want to, or you're in a comfort zone, or I really like whoever I'm having this relationship with. It's not 100%, but gosh, I'm not ready to let go yet. Life is going to be prompting you to loosen the strings on things that you know you kind of need to do. I'm certainly finding that in my life. There's stuff that I'm comfortable with, some friends or places, and then I got to move forward to do some other things. So let me know in the comments below if that's going on for you, because I feel like it's a bit of a theme right now. Now, we do have a stellium in that Taurus. There's some stuff that's been there for a little while, like Jupiter's been there for a bit, and Uranus has been there for a couple of years, because Uranus is an outer planet. It moves much slower. It takes a while for it to get through a sign. So we've still got like surprises or things that got bigger than you were expecting. I know I had some, this is kind of falling in my second house, and I was hoping for like, yay, I'm going to make some surprise money somewhere and it's going to be big. No, it was car repairs that cost way more than I've paid before than I expected. I mean, common things like oil changes. So Jupiter just kind of amplifies things, and sometimes it's a surprise. And then you got to figure it out. That I was like, I really need that like windfall something going on. I'm going to have to work a little harder there in Taurus to make all these bills come together, right? And so, yeah, you might want to look at your natal chart. I've talked about this before. You can go to astro.com or AstroSeek, and you can get a free natal chart to see where the planets are, and to find out what house things are in. You will need your birth time, but you can see what house is this new moon happening for you, what area of life, right? So for me, I'm comparing, I guess, you know, that Jupiter and Uranus. The Jupiter for me in my natal chart is in that second house. Now, with the transits, which is what we call the current astrology, it's falling more in my fourth house, and I do have stuff going on there. Fourth house is like family, and I've got a lot of irons in the fire on that. So laying a foundation for some things that I'm moving forward with, and they also have to do with family. So that's for me because that's in my fourth house. For you, it could be some other house. So you would want to look, and then you can look up the meaning of that house, and you'll have a better idea of like where this particular new moon is going to be emphasizing things in your own life. So we have the sun and the moon, because that's always the new moon, is this, when the sun and the moon in our line of vision from the earth are together. So you don't really see the moon because that sun kind of blots it out. Then we've got the Jupiter, and we've got that Uranus working, and they are working with, I didn't want to wear my reading glasses, so let's see, what is that? Pluto, that's what I thought. Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto just went retrograde. So that Uranus and the Jupiter, they are still conjunct. They've been conjunct for a little bit. Jupiter's moving apart from it, but it's moving slowly. It's another one of those outer planets. So they are still conjunct. So it's still amplifying things. And that connection to Pluto is like, you could be resolving stuff. You could be resolving past family stuff. It depends where it falls in your chart, right? But hidden stuff, it's usually. So a lot of times that's our interpersonal relationships. Can just be literally things like coming up from the earth. Like maybe you're building something in a yard and you're digging, and oh my gosh, I just hit the sprinkler system, or I found this really cool thing from the 1890s that somebody dropped, or it's hard for me to predict what that could be, but it can be things coming up that were hidden. I've seen some of this in the news, like people finding out things and then they're able to take action, right? Because they have the information. So it can be hidden information too. Pluto's in an air sign, but it is heading back towards Capricorn, so I'm not going to make too many guesses on that, of like disastrous things in the world. There's enough disastrous things in the world, right? There have been a lot of things in water because Saturn was in Pisces. Sorry, I have to look closer. I should have brought my glasses. Where did Saturn? Yeah, Saturn is still well within Pisces. So, and we've seen a lot of things in the news with water. The EPA decided to limit the PFAS that are in water because they are known to be, in numerous studies, known to be detrimental to our health. There was the hack of some rural water stations in Texas. So, it's like stuff going on with water. Saturn is always kind of hard reality. So, can be positive things like setting limits on chemicals we know are bad for us. It can be surprise things that, people testing out how to make our water systems fall. That's not a great one, but hopefully they'll be proactive and kind of strengthen those systems for us. Because Saturn in Pisces is about the collective and everybody. And it can also be viruses. I mentioned that in my last video. I know I got whatever crazy virus is going around. That wasn't fun, but I'm feeling 100% now, so yay. Had I been proactive, though, I might not have caught it. So it's good to keep an eye on all the planets. I was very focused on the eclipse at the time, the solar eclipse, so I missed that. Anything else? Oh, yeah, I wanted to say that Mercury is leaving its shadow. It's already direct, so it's moving forward. It's not retrograde anymore. Shouldn't be having too many communication snafus. But it is still conjunct with Chiron. So there could be things that need to be said. It's in Aries, so those can be blurted out. I would be careful about that. Or if somebody else is blurting something out, just keep in mind that they may feel pressure to get whatever this is off their chest. So words can be a bit harsh, but it also can clear the air for healing to happen. So Mercury is also our own thoughts. So our thoughts may be like acting really quickly. I've had this experience like where I just get mad real quick, right? Now I have a quick temper. I'm a Leo, what can I say? But I can usually tamp it down pretty well. And I've been finding I just, a little thing happens and I'm like on a rage. And it's just like talking, it's not like I'm not breaking things or hitting anybody or anything like that. But just stuff comes out of my mouth like, oh gosh darn it, blah, 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 and I've noticed it because it's happened a couple times. And I'm like, gosh, what am I trying to tell myself? If I'm frustrated or angry, what is it I need to work on? Because sometimes we just get stuck in the like, kind of verbal spewing of whatever, like, because we don't know what to do about it and we don't stop and look at it. And so Mars wants to get something done, right? And getting something done is not just venting. So I'm sitting down and starting to take a little slower look. Taurus is good for that. Considering things, observing things, that's how they get in the flow. So if you've got like stuff that just keeps kind of like popping up, but it's like on the surface, and look for what's deeper behind that and try to like find a way to recognize what the trigger really is, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that's how you can get to that healing part with the Chiron. So that's something I am working on myself. And we've got the North Node in there. It's not conjunct with Mercury and Chiron, but it is in there. So what we're trying to get to, we can find some frustration. Sometimes when you're trying to gain traction, it can be like you don't feel like you're moving forward, like, and there's stuff you got to do that you haven't done, and it can just be a little bit mentally turbulent. So if you're in something like that, try to find what's underlying that. What do you feel is blocking you from moving forward, and how can you manage it? Because we can't always just get rid of things, but we can figure out ways to manage them. Especially if you have a tendency towards anxiety or something. Like try to do things that are calming too. I'm taking a class on a new weaving technique, and I put on like my meditational music, and I'll just do that for an hour, and it just calms me the F out, right? So, look for your coping mechanisms and Taurus is great for that. Like Taurus, get out in nature, look at some flowers, feel the breeze, stare at the ocean a little bit. The ocean especially, it just kind of drains that electrical like turbulence out of you. It just kind of balances out your nervous system and it's fantastic. So I would suggest going to the ocean or if you can't do that, if you're not near that, taking a nice like Epsom salt or sea salt bath, like just dissolve a nice cup of these salts in a bath and sit there and soak for a little bit, maybe light a couple candles or whatever it is you like to do when you're relaxing in the bath. Make some nice lighting somehow. And that's a suggestion for me for this lunation. So to cap it up, we're kind of we're looking over our foundation, the things that have worked, the things that haven't worked for us, and we can build from there. And we can really set some nice goals for ourselves if we know it's something we're willing to work for. And we can look at our past experiences to kind of navigate to making this something real, which with Saturn and Pisces, that's also about making your dreams reality. So this is a really beautiful lunation for that. And my herbal recommendations for this particular lunation, I'm working with Solomon seal. So I have used the root to make a salve. I've been having stuff with my feet the last few years. I have Chiron and Pisces. Pisces rules the feet. With that Saturn and Pisces, everyone could be having some feet stuff. So I made a nice salve. You can find salves, in your local herb shop or online, whatever. And I've just been putting that on my feet before I go to bed at night, and it helps me relax. It's helping some of my little connective tissue stuff that I have. That Taurus, again, everything is connected. So working with your connective tissue, it doesn't necessarily rule that part of the body, but it rules the throat. But and that can help temper maybe some of the Mercury stuff, or you might blurt something out. Just slow down a little bit like a Taurus and think about exactly what you want to say before you say it. Or even picking out of what someone else said. They could throw you a splatter of words and you pick out the important parts because you're focused on that. So the Solomon seal is great for that. If you have the plant, I love this plant. It's so beautiful. The leaves have like a little sparkle of gold when you look at them in the light. This time of year, they have these beautiful like pairs of white flowers that look like bells with little green fringes around them. They're just beautiful. It tastes like green beans. You can actually eat a small amount of the flowers. I usually eat just like one at a time. The berries you don't eat because those are supposed to be toxic. I think they'll upset your tummy. But even just looking at, like I'm looking out my window at it right now because there's a pot over there, and it's just such a pretty little plant with its leaves are kind of like lifted with that gold, and then it's got the little bells all hanging down from the stalk. It's really pretty. You could just spend some time meditating. I think I'm going to make a flower essence from the flowers now that I'm looking at it. Okay, project for me. If you make flower essences, I'm going to suggest you make a flower essence with your Solomon seal flowers right now while they're in bloom. The crystal, let's see, I hadn't really thought about the crystal ahead of time, which I should have. I think I might go with like a fluorite, something that has multicolors, because you've got that breezy spring kind of feeling, like if you get a green and a purple one or something, where you can see the squares, right? Fluorite grows with these kind of square kind of crystals built on each other, and they can be different colors. And it reminds me of like the Earth's own like building blocks for building its own structures, and we're trying to build new structures in our life. I think that's a really great crystal to work with because it's got that clear, light, beautiful energy. Sometimes when we're trying to build things, we get bogged down with like, how's this going to work? What am I going to do? It can help to get into a frame of mind that's a little more lofty, a little more uplifting, and where you can see the structure, right? It's like, yes, I can do it. I can see that structure. So I'm going to recommend that. Yeah, I'm really excited with this Beltane Taurus new moon. It's a very positive energy. You can get a lot done. Set the mood from now till Samhain, all the way around in Scorpio season. Scorpio is the opposite sign on the horoscope wheel from Taurus. So this is a tougher time for Scorpios in general. You can use, it's when the sun is the furthest away from that sign, so it can be just a little bit of a downer, but you can use that, right, to figure out like what's not working in your life and build something new. So Scorpio energy can be protective if you're feeling a little too mentally excited. You can use Scorpio energy, that's the opposite of this new moon, just to be a little more protective and to do more of an internal process. But Taurus is really an outgoing sign, so great time for socializing, having parties in your garden, and etc. All right, take care, y'all, and I will be back in 2 weeks with the next lunation.